Good evening, Melrosians the world over. I'm Tom Catalini.
I'm Jen LeClaire.
I'm Sam Hammer.
And I'm Tom Shampoo.
And this is Let's Talk Melrose, a show where Melrosians talk to Melrosians about Melrose, and there's lots to talk about this week. Jen, what's going on?
Well, we're gonna precursor and let everybody know that we have Denise Gaffey, Director of Planning and Community Development, coming later. So stay tuned till the end. Stay tuned while we get through all of the other stuff, because we're gonna have a really interesting conversation with her later on. But there's a lot going on around town. It was Groundhog Day. I'm just going to throw that right to Tom Shampoo. How do you feel exactly about Groundhog Day?
I have a hard time with Groundhog Day. I have very passionate feelings about it. It feels wrong that we push science aside as often as we do, as much as we do in this country, and then we love to watch a rodent look for his shadow and tell us whether or not it's going to be winter. It's there's so many things wrong with it. I don't know where to start. I don't want to take up the half hour of the show complaining.
Name 10 things wrong.
My wife heard me going off the tracks about an hour and a half ago about this.
You know what, Tom? It's all worth it for the Bill Murray Groundhog Day movie.
Yeah,
just for the movie. I love the movie. My kids love the movie. It's totally worth it. I agree. But the first thing that's worth it is why? Where did it come from? Why does it matter? What's the point of having a rodent tell us what's going on in the weather?
You know what though? There's costumes. They get to have top hats. So I'm all in just for the costumes and top hats alone.
But it feels so fabricated that see, I'm gonna get all upset about it.
Anyway, okay, should we go through other Christmas, Easter? Where are we going with this, Tom?
Well, the funny thing about not in the pocket. The funny thing about Groundhog Day too is that it's all the same. 6 weeks of winter or early spring, it lands you on the same date. Like,
but why Pennsylvania? Why
it's
Pennsylvania? It's like if it's cloudy in one part of Pennsylvania at 8:00 in the morning, that means winter? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, all right. So in the spirit of crazy, nonsensical holidays, and Tom Catalini is jealous that it's in over there, wherever the hell it is, and not here. Let's our viewers can come up with like what is a unique Melrose holiday phenomenon that we can come up with. Like,
so what about urine balls? People are talking about that. You go down to the schoolyard, is urine on the snow or not, and then that predicts something. So the people in Philadelphia just thought of that, and then it became a thing. So we could be spawning it right now.
Yeah,
so Mary urine balls, Melrose.
Explain, Sam, how this will work this holiday.
Well, it happens upon a winter's eve, upon the fresh snow, and the children of the elementary schools and beyond come and create piles of ball sculptures for the Melrosians.
It can be a fundraiser, like wherever the one dog pees, like you buy a square, and wherever the dog pees.
So we should explain to the viewers. Yes. We keep a close tab on the community page, and somebody had pointed out, like, hey, and it happens to be in my neighborhood, the Lincoln School neighborhood. People are building beautiful snow sculptures, and would people of the neighborhood with dogs please prevent them from urinating on these beautiful sculptures that the kids come to play with. So first of all, who knows that they're dogs from our neighborhood? Who knows that it's dogs at all? Anything could be going on down there. I'm not sure. There's cameras.
They're not Melrose dogs, clearly.
They're probably Melrose dogs, or is that a life lesson? Don't eat the yellow snow. I don't know, but we're probably ready to launch something to do with urine and snow.
Okay.
To make Melrose famous for decades to come.
Yes.
So as a dog owner, and the dog does go down to that part of the town, we'll rein our dog in because we feel guilty. Linda and my wife and I talked about this too. It does make total sense because the kids are out there not just eating the snow because they're not eating snow, but they're just playing in it. And if you don't always see what's what, it's not good for the kids. So I think it's true. We should actually pull the dogs back and not let them go to the bathroom out there. It's just polite.
All right, so I gotta tell you, I fell for something many years ago when we first moved to Melrose. We were down there, and I'm down there with my wife taking a walk through the Lincoln Yard, and a guy's with his dog, and the dog's not just number one, number two, right there on the field. And Stephanie says to me, "Hey, that kids play here. That's not right. Whatever." So I'm like, I should do something. So then I say, like, "Hey, you shouldn't do that." And then she totally backs away. All of a sudden, it's just me now having this conversation. And then I just go to the next level. I mean, it wasn't like fisticuffs, but I didn't back down. And this guy didn't back down. He felt strongly that the dog should poop freely. What? I was trying
on the playground
to pick up for the children. Well, the grassy knoll, the grassy area, not like on the basketball court. My God, what do you think is happening down there?
Savage.
It's his number 2 amendment rights.
That's right. That's right.
Wow, I'm sorry I missed it.
That was a good one.
On, boy.
Okay, we got. There's a lot going on.
We gotta move on.
We gotta get to the
7 minutes in.
BFD Melrosians. There's a lot of news breaking, and I know Jen's been tracking this very closely. Her fingers on the pulse of the scene in Melrose.
I do. So I noticed that we have 2 BFD Melrosians coming from the same family. Both of the eldest Catalini children, Mia Catalini, this month is Employee of the Month at her. I'm going to forget the name.
Application.
Thank you. So congrats, Mia. Good job. Keep up the good work. And then Alec Catalini just started as a paraprofessional in Melrose Schools. He's going to be working over at Roosevelt Schools. And we talked last week about that MPS is looking for people. So they found a great one. Congratulations to Alec. And
he started yesterday, snow day today.
Yeah, that's a good way to start.
It's funny because he was on Zoom all day as a result of them being remote. And then he took a nap afterwards. He said he couldn't believe how exhausting that was. So just more anecdotal evidence that there's an adjustment period and an impact to the screens.
Yeah, that it's stressful for the kids too. There's some recent stats about that too. So other BFD Melrosians, as recently cited by our representative Kate Lipper-Garabedian, gave a few proclamations about a week ago. One is to a nearby neighbor here, Deb Walsh. She's very, very active in the community, and she received a citation for. And don't quote me on this because this is not what's in writing but basically for making about a gazillion masks during COVID. She sews and she cranked out quite a number. I think it's like something over 5,000. I think she told me.
Ooh.
So that's amazing.
Great news.
Kate's second proclamation went to the farmers market in Melrose for providing fresh produce while supporting our local food system, donating 400 pounds of food to Bread of Life during Thanksgiving, and raising community spirit during the COVID pandemic. And it was great to have them still around and involved. And her third proclamation went to Stephen Fogarty, Director of Wellness and Athletics and Co-Curricular Activities at Melrose High School, congratulating the girls and boys soccer teams, the golf team, and the girls cross-country team on winning the Middlesex League Freedom title in their 2020 seasons. So see, we rolled that into sports ball with Jen LeClaire too.
Oh, look at that. Look at you doing sports.
Good job.
Difficult seasons too. Obviously not typical seasons.
Yeah,
so congratulations to everybody.
Right.
That's good.
So that's what I got.
There's one more, Sam.
Yeah, I don't know about this BFD Melrosian. I know who it is.
So also another BFD in Melrose is our own Brian Duvall, the T-shirt guy. I have to say, he comes through. Look at that one.
Oh, nice.
Zoom in a little bit more. Oh,
nice.
Look at that.
So this is also BFD Melrosian Sam Hammer, who makes dreams come true. So this shirt design was on the easel or whatever you call it for a long, long time. And I just a week ago said to Stephanie, that thing has got to come into reality. It's fully designed. And then there it is, Dugan it all night long.
That's why you said you were in wardrobe earlier.
I think we need to sell those and raise money for something.
Yeah, how does one get their hands on that T-shirt?
Oh, well, actually, should we put a store together of crazy shit? All right.
LTMM merch.
There are Excellent. There are
Yeah.
2 other Rogue shirts that will be printed tomorrow. But
Cool.
Brian is really wonderful to work with. He did our LTMM shirts.
That's
he
right.
did when we did the standout for racial equity shirts. He did the Boogeyman charcuterie shirts.
Yeah,
He is like, he's on it.
He's great.
So yes,
Great job.
and he could use it at the Extra Business. He's literally right down here on Russell Street. So when he says it's ready, I just walk down there.
Walk over and get
Shop local. Shop local.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
But he's fast. Oh, look, the sales are coming
The
in
sales
already.
are coming
Got
in.
3 already.
The fans, yeah.
But yes, there'll be 2 more shirts making their debut by the end of the week.
All right.
By the end of the show.
Wait, okay. We haven't even hit news yet, have we?
All right. There's not a lot of time for the news, so we're going to go through this. We're going to go through it quickly.
We spent too much time talking about T-shirts and urine balls. We don't have time for the news.
Somebody type this in about any more news on COVID vaccine rollout.
Want me to type it in?
But I know that Tom has got some news there.
There we go. There is my news. Yay, my mother-in-law, Ellen Apple. She got her first vaccine shot yesterday. Congratulations to her. She's in that phase 2 first rollout, so she was able to get an appointment for yesterday in the Wakefield at the Converse store. There was quite a line when we got there, but it went very quickly. It was really well organized. I was really impressed by the staff and the volunteers and everyone who was there. It was completely fun and festive environment and feel. And so my mother-in-law was really happy, and she'll go back and get her second shot in 3 weeks. But so good job for everyone who went there and volunteered there and helped make sure that it was a good experience for everybody.
That's great. And we've been hearing, we were out in the neighborhood, shoveling and clearing and stuff today. And there are several folks in our neighborhood, plus we heard from Bill Butler too, who volunteered. So folks in the neighborhood who are either volunteering or are in the demographic where they get to go get their shots. And we're hearing that the locations in Wakefield and at Memorial Hall, the boots on the ground side of this operation has been very well organized, and everybody has said that it's running very smoothly. So congrats to everybody who's involved. Thanks to everybody who's volunteering. It's really good news. And after you get your shot, treat yourself to a peanut butter Valentine, right, Sam?
I think so, Jen.
Is that Jen's?
No, well, you don't get to have the peanut butter Valentine. You have to give the peanut butter Valentine.
That's right, Tom.
I'm trying to shoehorn in and move this show along so we get to Denise Gaffey.
It was a good effort, but every year, this is the 10th anniversary of the Peanut Butter Valentine's Drive. It's basically a food drive, and it was called that because peanut butter is high in protein, and it's one of the shelf-stable items that they really like to receive. But this is basically a food drive for Servant Heart Food Pantry. Oh my gosh, Tuesdays are long days for me. Drop-off locations at Melrose High School, Roosevelt, Horace Mann, Dance Track, Melrose Dance Academy, or Tremontosi Law. And you can drop off through February 10th. So you have a few more days, I guess.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be peanut butter. It's just a food drive, a shelf-stable food drive.
Shelf-stable. Nice.
Yeah. What else we have?
Tell us about DEI advisory. This is the last week to sign up.
Oh, I'll take this because there's some good comments coming in. So this is the last week to apply to be a part of the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Anti-Racist Advisory Task Force. I said it, and I can say it 5 more times. The city is looking for you to join the task force to shape our agenda around diversity, equity, inclusion, anti-racism. So please, I'll put the email in there, the last day to submit a resume, letter of intent, maybe just your name will do, if you're a BFD. Friday, February 5th is the last day to submit.
Oh, that's coming right up.
And they're taking 6 residents, correct? 6 residents to be a part of the task force?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
So I'll put them in.
Great. It's great work.
All right.
Thank you in advance.
Important work.
Yes.
9:15. I think it's time to get
my God.
Go. and let's get down to some planning talk, right? This is fun.
Hey, all right.
We just tried to warm them up a little bit. Denise Gaffney, welcome to the show. You are the city planner.
Director of Planning and Community Development, right?
Director of Planning and Community Development. That's right. Yes.
Okay, first question. So you're running the Office of Planning and Community Development, but there's a planning board, there's a historical commission, there's a historic district commission, there's a zoning board of appeals. In 60 seconds or less, what do you do?
What do you not do?
We support lots of different boards and commissions, like the Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, Historic District Commission. We collaborate with a lot of different groups too, like the Energy Commission and the Bike Committee and Traffic Commission, all those kinds of groups. But that's just one thing that we do. Our mission overall is to protect and enhance the quality of life in Melrose. So we do that through a number of different initiatives, including long-range planning, like creating master plans periodically, where we ask the community to, we try to drill down on the needs and vision and goals for the community over the, create a blueprint for the future. And we work on zoning changes to try to create some, we recommend zoning changes for, to create the kind of development we want to see, the kind of growth and development we want to see, where we want to see it. And we apply for grants, we implement special projects, we do a range of different things.
So it's so confusing for the average citizen to try and figure out how to navigate that. And so it sounds like you are sort of the office behind a number of commissions and you have these aspirational goals. But I think people get confused by simple things like on the community board, or Mike Karaji in the Patch wrote recently, like a new business is coming to Melrose, please let it be anything but a pizza shop or a nail salon. And then it was like, oh, look, it's another Mexican restaurant, which I welcome. And, I figure the market decides that. But is that the kind of thing that any of your organizations have any direct influence over?
Well, I mean, that's where the zoning comes into play, because zoning does regulate the uses in different districts and different parts of town. And you wouldn't be able to open up a Mexican restaurant, for example, in the Swains Pond area, because that's primarily zoned for residential. But in our business districts, we allow for a range of different types of commercial uses and residential uses, or mixed use.
Yeah.
So we would allow for the restaurant use. We just can't dictate what kind of restaurant it is. I wish I had that time.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Tom, you phrased the question eloquently, but the real question that we see all the time on the community pages and elsewhere is, why can't I have the exact sandwich shop that I want to see in the Papagino's location? That's really the question, Denise.
Exactly. And I have to say, when business owners and property owners are very savvy individuals, and they're somewhat risk averse. They're going to do their research. They're going to look into the market and figure out what is going to sell. And I think if that sandwich shop, if they determined that sandwich shop would be appropriate in that location, they would open it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only conclude that people really like Mexican food in Melrose.
So if I can drill down on the zoning question a little bit, is there at the high level there's the residential and commercial, but then there's like these sort of subcategories, I would imagine, right? Like are there sort of like industrial, kind of more industrial things like you have over on Tremont Street versus, I mean, you can't have, you couldn't have, and this is just an arbitrary example, it's nothing against any of these businesses, but we couldn't have Randy's Car Wash on Main Street, right? I mean, there's those kinds of things too. Is that right?
That's essentially correct. Yes, we have certain uses like manufacturing or industrial uses are in our industrial districts or extensive business districts along Tremont Street, like you said, where you see a lot of the automobile uses. You might see uses though that are pre-existing and non-conforming, and they may have come around. They may have been there for 50, 60 years, or and today, if we try to build, it might not be an allowed use. But They probably hark back to prior to when our zoning was codified.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the businesses, probably lower Lebanon, I'm guessing.
Yes, right. Some of those auto eccentric uses that you see, and right in the middle of a residential district. Exactly.
Yeah.
Those predate the early 70s, which is when our zoning really came into play.
Yeah.
So we could probably ask you all kinds of questions all night long. Like, well, how about this? If we were going to have
Right.
my thing is, I want Papagino's to have a second story deck with umbrellas and chairs. Would that be would that be your department's decision, or like where would something like that come from? Like a change of use or a change of structure?
I can tell you we've had that conversation with that property owner.
Oh, look at that. Wow. Someone's listening to me.
I like that idea. We like that idea. We've had that conversation.
Nice.
Wait a minute. All right, give us the scoop. What's happening?
Wow.
It's not going to happen right away.
Wait, she said right away. She said right away. There's hope.
We are looking at ways to help that restaurant with some possible outdoor seating. So that would be kind of exciting. We're working with a couple of different restaurants in town right now on that. Of course, outdoor seating with the pandemic is almost essential.
Yeah,
it's essential. So we're doing everything we can to try to help businesses survive.
So it's almost essential, but it's a dream of Melrosians like Tom Shampoo and that new building where Coffee, Tea, and Me was. We did one of the shows here, and the little side space, Tom, that you had identified for kind of chess matches and tea drinking. And
right, maybe outdoor music or something,
music,
whatever. The permanent parklet.
Permanent parklet, yes. But I think the pandemic brought that about, but it is... A parklet, not on the street. What do we call that? What should we call that? A park?
Right.
Well, like if Tom Shampoo has a dream for, something like that, is that that?
And he does.
And he does, but that would be something like that. If it's going to be a park, like in that particular space, like the city has to sort of own and maintain and support that, right? That can't just be something you allow to happen. Doesn't somebody have to like how would that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think in that particular instance that you're talking about that's privately owned land. Yeah. So we really can't control. We can make suggestions. We were encouraging the building owner to.
Denise, what about eminent domain? Why don't we
if we just all show up with our lawn chairs and drinks?
That has been done in the past. Or it's just been decades.
How about you raise their taxes? Unless they put a parklet, then you could say we'll give you a tax break if you give a little parklet outside.
So extortion, I'm sure.
Okay, but Tom, what I'm also hearing, Denise has said, that the city can't make them do that, but we can offer suggestions. So we'll get Tom and his megaphone out there. Start demanding. No. Start demanding that there needs to be. Oh, that's really too bad. That there's additional seating next to that property. So the citizens will just make it happen. What are some initiatives and things that have happened in the last year or so, Denise, that you and your office are really proud of?
We've had to pivot like everybody else with the pandemic and get accustomed to working virtually and holding remote meetings, which has been a challenge. But I feel like we've done it pretty successfully, and in some respects we've allowed for greater participation. So that's kind of nice. People can watch our meetings from home and watch the recorded meetings, and so I think that's been kind of an interesting result. But another project, we worked over the past year on a what we call the Wayfinding and Creative Placemaking project, where we really introduced for the first time, I think, kind of a robust public art project and public art into the community. And I have to say, here again, the pandemic was actually a good time to be doing it. I think people were looking for outlets. We had a number of different tools to reach the community through surveys and webinars, and we got incredible participation and really great suggestions. And we were able to, this was all grant funded, by the way, but we were able to use this grant money to recruit some different art within the community. like the mural that you see on the high school, which is really incredible, and some of the other art in the downtown, like the switch boxes, the painted boxes, and the sculpture at Alpine. It's a really great initiative. I think the community really enjoyed that, especially during the pandemic. And for us, we don't usually get to work with the artistic community. So we work a lot with the business community, local businesses in the chamber, but working with local artists is a little unusual and not unique, and it was really fun.
Okay, let's do more of that. What do you say? Yes to more of that.
Careful, you're on the record still.
Yeah.
You mentioned online meetings, and we've obviously talked a lot about online meetings here and how it's opened up access to people who couldn't normally get down to City Hall at 7, 8 o'clock at night because they're home for dependent care, whatever. In your role, how have you seen those changes impact the work you do, specifically online meetings? And
yeah, well, like I said, I think it's been it has kind of forced us to provide all of our information now is electronic. It used to be we would get stacks of papers and plans from applicants and developers when they were proposing a project. I mean, stacks of papers, and we would just distribute them around. And who knows what happens to those? I mean, the planning board members, like, they need to build an addition to house all the materials that they have. So I'm sure a lot of that just ends up in the waste stream. But now we get everything electronic. And we're able to post all the materials on the website in advance of the meeting, so people can also go in and very easily sort of review all the different materials and get educated before the public hearing, so they can kind of arm themselves with questions. And so I think that's been really beneficial. And I think we'll continue to do that. I don't think we're going to change from that practice, because that's been it's really allowed for some great transparency.
That's
it would be like it would be like opening a door and then closing it. Like we don't need to hear from you anymore. So yeah, I agree. There's been some innovative changes and things that ways of doing business that we've been able to do that I agree. I hope you're right. I hope they keep going. It has opened the door to a lot of participation. It's great.
And the other thing, we worked very closely with many different entities, from the chamber to the bike ped committee and BPW in the city, to access grant funding to create the parklets that you saw the parklets downtown and a couple of other locations. And that was incredibly successful. And I have to say, for years, we've wanted to do parklets, but if you just mentioned the word, people just, they didn't want to hear it. It's because it's controversial, taking parking away. And I think the pandemic allowed us to do those kind of more experimental things.
Well, I think we're here for that.
We have a viewer question, Denise, and this may not be in your area, but it seems like your office deals with big picture, high level things, not so much down in what kind of restaurant and all that. And you may only have an opinion on this, not purview over there. I'd be happy to understand. But we've had discussions on the show, and we've got a viewer asking about your thoughts on shutting down Main Street one weekend day or more a month, something like that. It's something I would advocate for. I've advocated for in the show, but I don't know if the planning board or any of these commissions have purview over that, or if you just, as a Melrosian who's deeply involved in this, have any thoughts on something like that.
Yeah, I've heard that quite a bit too. I've had a lot of people tell me or suggest that to me as well, and I think it's a great idea. I think when the city has done it in the past for like the summer school, it's incredibly successful. And so I think we'd have to make sure to engage with the business community and make sure they were on board. And I think that could be done. I think it could be very beneficial to them.
Well, sometimes we need a push, right? Yep. So the digitization with the meetings led to all those benefits that we hope are permanent. Taking some parking spaces for parklets, it sort of forced the issue. So, I'm in favor of that. I'm fully not educated on the repercussions. Like, I don't see the downside of, routing traffic or where people park, or somebody with, special needs to access a store they need to get to or whatever. So I fully admit I don't have all the answers and I haven't thought through, but I think to push the envelope a little bit is worthwhile. And like John is suggesting in the comments, this is the kind of thing it seems like you could try one day a month, something like that.
Yes. Well, I can tell you there's strong interest in that.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
That's it. We heard it
Thank
here.
you. Get your lawn chairs, people.
Yeah, and I think, if you follow, ways, Sam and I talk about this a lot, finding ways to get to yes, and, just experimenting with things, and you figure, instead of saying, oh, it's not going to work, because you do it and then you figure out what does or doesn't work. Don't throw up the barriers before something is tried out.
Okay.
But so if you follow, I just want to say one more thing. If you follow a lot of the creative placemaking blogs and all this sort of stuff, there's so much information there, and really cool visuals and studies that show mock-ups of what a little main street can look like when it's full of people. And those you look at it and you go, oh, look, doesn't that look like downtown somewhere in Vienna? I mean, it's gorgeous, right? So there's the inspiration, but then those things are backed up by data that shows that when you have more numbers of people on the streets, fewer cars and more people, it actually does support the businesses. So I'd love for our business community to see some of that information.
And if you scroll down on our page, we have some artist renderings of visions of Melrose.
Oh, yes, that's right.
From our New Year's resolution.
Yes,
we do.
We did some pro bono work for the planning department for you.
Oh, awesome! I'll have to check that out.
Just scroll down.
Yeah, right. It's a fantastic cut and paste a Photoshop job that some expert did recently.
on the Just Say No side, is there any cap to the number of CVSs that can be contained in the boundaries of Melrose?
Or banks.
What do you have, Jen? You have banks and you have pharmacies, but specifically brands of coffee shops. Like how many Dunkins, how many CVSs can we have?
I hear you. The banks really mystify me. Who goes to a bank anymore? But I don't know. People like to
except the guy to rob it. I tell you, we must be the bank robbery, per capita champion.
Oh, after Charlestown, I think still reigns, but this is North Charlestown, so
there you go.
So yes,
on second thought, that might be better known for that than the urine ball idea we were working on earlier.
I think that I think we should throw out several options for people. Let the people decide, Tom.
Yes, agreed.
We can combine ideas. So, Denise, you're also a Melrosian. You live here. Where should we put the beer garden?
Yeah.
So I love the idea of Franklin Street in the Highlands area. I think that's kind of like, I consider it an up and coming neighborhood. We did some recent zoning work there, and we also had that recent Mass Works project, which was the road improvement and the sort of the nice streetscape. And we're starting to see some of the properties there turn over, and some proposals for some really exciting mixed-use type developments. So I think we could squeeze the beer garden into one of those.
Perfect. So it's also a train stop, right? If I'm not mistaken. So I could get on the train at Wyoming and get off right there at Highland and be right there ready to go.
That's right. Yeah. If the MBTA, we got to make sure the MBTA doesn't do those cuts, and then we're all set. You can take the train back home from
all the way back home to Wyoming.
We have a uniquely walkable and trainable city.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Beautiful. The library on the way there.
Before we go, though, people want to know what the heck is incentive zoning and where can they learn more about it?
Wow, I love that people are asking.
Yeah, tons of people are asking that.
A lot of questions.
People my way. So incentive zoning is
we want incentive zoning. We want it now. We want incentive zoning. When do we want it? No, I'm not a good ranter. Sorry, I'll work on that.
Good. Well, we're going to try to, make that happen. So we are actually working on an incentive zoning proposal right now, and that's a tool where you might allow some additional density in your zoning in exchange for community benefits like sustainability measures, or additional affordable housing. We actually have incentive zoning in our ordinance right now. It's around affordable housing, where developers are required to contribute a unit of affordable housing, and then they get an extra unit to kind of compensate for the cost to contribute the affordable unit. So that is also incentive zoning.
So that means they want to override some existing regulation, and you're doing a little negotiation around that. That's
right. For example, the zoning might only allow for 3 stories, but we might allow in a certain area a 4th story if the developer provides community benefits. And
if that 4th story is a beer garden.
Or a roof deck.
Exactly. They get a free pass if that's.
That's a great question. I'm glad those people are asking those questions, Tom.
Yes.
I'm glad they are.
And they know where to go.
There's some smart people in Melrose.
Denise, don't you have an upcoming meeting or presentation? Is that on something like that, or did I misunderstand?
We've actually, the zoning subcommittee has been working on an incentive zoning proposal. We have a draft. We're going to be presenting that to the council sometime in the near future, probably within the next month. So stay tuned.
Okay, that goes to the city council when you say the council?
So zoning has to be approved by city council.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to say it's a complex matrix of things you're responsible for. There's a lot of moving parts. Thank you for doing what you do. I also would just offer out to people, it's a friendly office to contact. If people get all irate on the message boards when meanwhile they can call down and kind of get the actual answer from you on any particular development in town or anything. Anytime I've reached out to the department, it's been super helpful and informative. So just to say, I think that's a little bit different than reaching to your city councilor or, like a traffic commissioner who's got a day job or whatever. Like having an office of planning, I find is a very helpful resource. I just wanted to mention that to people. So it's a lot. We can't cover it all on the show. We hope you'll agree to come back
and see us.
There's a lot to discuss.
It's fun.
We do like to talk. One of our favorite topics on the show is to talk about the development of downtown and what's it's our public spaces, right? It's one of the things that touches people most, and people have questions about what's going on over there, what's happening at Papagino's, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really something that we enjoy talking about here. And as you know, we don't always know what we're talking about, so it's great to have you.
It's a very dynamic part of the city, and it should be, and it also needs to have a lot of moving parts that are working for everybody who's using that space. And so glad that you guys are doing the work. Thank you.
So how many years are we going to be into the new Mexican restaurant? We're going to say, hey, Tom, which Mexican, you're going for Mexican food, which one you going to? Oh, the Papagino's one.
Yeah, right. Right.
Papagino's Mexican.
I
will say, the roof deck one. That's what I'm going to say. The roof deck Mexican.
All right.
Take a left at the groundhog, and you'll run right up to it.
Don't get it started.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
All right. With that, I think we have to sign off. And Denise, we hope you will dance out the show with us. And as we like to say at the end, to all the viewers worldwide, we'll see you around town.
See you around town.